If you're going through the immigration process right now, you have to know that USCIS is changing in many ways. In the past week, we've heard of people getting detained at their green card interviews. People are trying to file for their green cards, and it's getting very, very complicated to do so. Why is this happening? Because there's new policies and new adjudication procedures coming out from USCIS since the last month. And in this video, I'm going to go over all the changes and everything you need to know if you're filing your green card right now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Immigration Channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the new procedures and adjudications process that USCIS is implementing right now for those of you that are applying for green cards inside the United States. I'm specifically talking about marriage green cards, but it's also applying for adjustment of status based on employment and anything else that you're doing dealing with USCIS. A lot of my colleagues and in the media, you've seen reports that people are being detained at immigration interviews and also court hearings. But in this video, I'm focused on USCIS specifically. This has happened in Phoenix, Arizona, Boston, New York, San Diego, Los Angeles, Houston, and Miami. Why are they being detained at these immigration interviews? Well, the reason why they're being detained is because about a month ago, in a very quiet manner, USCIS released a set of new guidance and procedures that they're going to be using to start enforcing immigration law and collaborating with ICE at the same time. What are these procedures and why are they happening right now? The reason it's happening right now is because the government is focused on enforcement and removal. It's not just happening for criminals anymore. It's happening to all immigrants that fall within these specific guidelines that USCIS and ICE are formulating. So let's talk about some of these new guidance, some new procedures that we see, and we'll go through them one by one. I'll cover citizenship N400. We'll talk about the interview waiver process, what's happening with that. We'll talk about the increase in Stokes interview, fraud interviews, and who will be subject to those interviews if you're going for your green card interview. We'll discuss advanced parole denials, who's getting those and who is getting denied. And finally, we'll talk about arrests at field offices and who is subject potentially to getting arrested. So make sure you watch this video until the end. I'll touch on all these topics, how these changes are being implemented, and how they might impact you as well. Number one, let's start with N400 interviews. Recently at N400 interviews, we've seen them being a little bit more strict than before. They'll go through your entire immigration history. If you got your green card through marriage, they might go back to that marriage case if you're no longer with that spouse. They'll question you about that relationship, and you better be prepared to answer questions. Don't just say, well, it happened 8-10 years ago, I don't remember. You better remember, because if you don't answer the questions properly, not only your case will be delayed, but potentially could also be denied. In addition, in most N400 interviews right now, they go to Section 9 of the N400 form. And that Section 9 is information about you. And those questions focus on you and your activity in the past. Are you a member of any organizations, any memberships? And they go literally through every single question on that section. You know, for example, have you ever claimed to be a US citizen? And, you know, those could be also at work or just randomly. So be prepared to answer every single question on Section 9 on Form N400. So don't be surprised if they'll put more emphasis on that area. Before we talk about interview waivers and after whether they're eliminated or they continue to do those, I want to tell you something. If you guys are here for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show these videos to more people just like you. If you need help with your immigration matters, if you're stuck, if you are going through a hardship with your immigration case, send me a text 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationasap.com, leave your details, and one of our team members will contact you ASAP so we can help you with your case. And now let's go back into the video. So interview waivers, what's happening there? Well, right now, people are still getting their interviews waived. However, the Immigration Service is going towards getting more interviews. So more and more people will getting their interviews. You'll be interviewed for your green card. If you file your case today, you're probably going to have an interview in 6 to 8 months from now. And even employment-based cases will be subject to interviews again. Now, what is this going to do? Well, what's going to do is it's going to create more backlogs. You're going to see cases going longer and longer. And by the time we get to next year, around this time next year, you're going to see more people waiting longer to getting their cases approved and potentially getting their green cards approved without an interview. So, but you're going to see more interviews coming in and less people are going to be processed without an interview. But for the moment, people are still getting their interviews waived. So if you filed your case about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, there is a good chance that you're not going to have an interview before the end of the year. But other clients report that they are being scheduled for interviews. So again, it's going to be a little bit random. But moving forward, everybody's going to get their cases subject to an interview based on this administration. Moving to Stokes fraud interviews. What's happening here? Well, more and more people are getting Stokes interviews, even if they have no problem in their case. We had a few clients from our office that was a clean, basic marriage case. They went for the interview, and right from the start, they were separated. This happened in San Diego, California, where I'm located, but it was reported this happening in Phoenix, Arizona. This happened in New York, and in many locations in Florida, like Miami, and also in Phoenix, Arizona. So remember, you could be coming to an interview expecting to be there together, but most of your interview you'll be interviewed separately. And those interviews tend to be longer and a little bit more complicated. And again, I know that obviously, you are together and it's a legitimate marriage, but it's still a very stressful process to be separated and being grilled for an hour about your relationship. So just be prepared that it could happen to you. And if it's not going to happen to you, great. But if it will happen to you, at least you'll be prepared. That's the trend moving forward with USCIS. Let's talk about advanced parole right now. People who came to the United States without inspection, or if you overstayed for a long period of time, it's been reported that people were either getting their advanced parole denied or having issues when they travel to enter the United States. So if you had any immigration violations before you filed for your green card, try to avoid traveling, at least for now. This may change in a few months, but for now, even if you got your advanced parole, do not travel. We've seen people that they applied for advanced parole, both for DACA or based on marriage, and they got refused for whatever reason. So it is something that is happening right now. Don't be alarmed if it happens to you. It is happening to quite a few people right now. But even if you got your advanced parole, and if you had any immigration violations before you received it, my recommendation is not to travel, at least for now. Finally, let's talk about arrests, immigration field offices. Why is it happening? Well, it's happening right now because USCIS is collaborating with ICE, which means that if you had any prior immigration violations, if you had any fraud in your immigration case, if you came here unlawfully and you applied for asylum and then you had a removal case that wasn't closed, many of these people will be subject for removal at some point. Right now, even if you're going through the green card process, it seems like your old removal case that wasn't resolved could trigger detention at your immigration interview if you don't meet all the requirements. And if your case is not completely approvable, they will call ICE on you and you'll be detained. Also, we've seen cases where immigration do not believe that your case is real. And if at that interview they determine that your marriage is not legitimate, they will already call ICE and they'll be ready. So at the end of the interview, you might be detained. This happened to many, many people already across the United States. And it's important for you to be aware that, first of all, go to an interview with your lawyer if you have any problems in your immigration matter. If you didn't have any problems, that's fine. But if you did and you don't have an attorney, make sure you contact an attorney. And it's very important that you go with an attorney to the interview, especially if you had any issues with prior immigration matters. So these are the things that are happening right now. The immigration USCIS is changing right now. They have more vetting processes. They're working with ICE more closely. And if you have issues with your case, remember that a recent memo that just came out about a month and a half ago says if your case is denied for whatever reason, something like you didn't make enough money on your affidavit of support, and now the case is denied, the immigrant could be placed in removal proceedings based on new procedures that came out about a month ago. So as you can see, before, if you were denied, you could just refile. Now the chances of you being sent to removal are quite high. So it's really important to prepare your case properly, submit all the documents up front, have your medical ready, have all the evidence up front, and make sure when you submit your case, you pay the forms in separate checks. Before, we could pay everything in one check. Now you have to pay separate checks. Otherwise, your case will be sent back. So Many changes we covered in this video. I want to make sure you understand. N400, more strict interviews. They're doing more vetting. People are being separate in interviews, and people that have violations in their cases and immigration is not going to recommend approval could be detained at their interview. So please be aware of that. This is not a video to scare you. It's a video to inform you. Once again, if you need help with your immigration matters, send me a text 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationsap.com. Leave your details and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.